Greetings fellow traders, this is Max and welcome to my Sunday market analysis where I'm going to analyze the market and share with you my top trades for the upcoming week. As you can see, there are a lot of pairs flagged with my red marker here as they contain really nice and interesting trade setups that I am really excited to share with you now. And after we've looked at those pairs, we will have a look at the pairs that are marked with my yellow marker here. Those are pairs from last week that are not featured in today's list, and we will have a look at them to see how they have performed as a brief recap. So let's start here with AUD JPY. What you can see here is that we are still making new highs, meaning we are in an uptrend, so I'm really interested to look for long opportunities here. As you can see, we broke through this round psychological level, the 97 round psychological level and area of interest that has once been resistance and is now hopefully turning into support. Price formed some kind of what looks like a double top pattern, but to me it looks more like a flag pattern, and we are left now with a nice morning star candlestick formation here on the daily chart. So my plan right now is to wait for price to have a pullback back into the zone and maybe create some kind of wick as a new candlestick down here to clear some more liquidity below this area, or just give me on a lower time frame the price action that I want to see to be convinced that price will continue higher now and open a long position. Because this pattern looks to me as some sort of failed double top pattern, break and retest, and after it has had the push to the downside here, it hopefully will continue higher. And on the weekly chart, pretty much an interesting setup, but what I do not like is the big wick here. So I could also expect a wick up and then a wick fill to the downside, and maybe just next week there will be the opportunity to open a long position here. Recently the monthly candlestick had closed, so if we look at the monthly candlestick, we closed as a really nice big green candlestick here. We have created a wick down and now it might continue higher. This is what I'm looking for. So this pattern here on the daily chart on AUD JPY is a really nice indicator that the price will head higher. Next pair on my list is AUD USD. So here I'm looking for a price pullback and then a price push to the upside to open a long position here. And the reason is that on the weekly chart, or just in general, we have been creating new highs here. And the recent weekly candlestick has closed around a round psychological level and an area of interest. So the round psychological level is the 0.66 round psychological level. We've closed slightly above here, leaving a nice wick with this kind of engulfing or Marabuzu candlestick formation on the weekly chart here. So I expect a wick down now and thereafter a wick fill, maybe testing the other round psychological level here, 0.665 round psychological level, or just the recent resistance area. Then it might head to the downside, but for me this could be a nice opportunity for a long position with a decent risk reward ratio. So more on the lower time frame here, the 4-hour time frame. This indicates to me almost some sort of failed evening star formation, and now I just want to see the wick down below the area of interest and around psychological level, clearing some or sweeping some more liquidity here, and then the price will hopefully have the formation that indicates a continuation to the upside. If you zoom out on the bigger picture, this looks like an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and as I told you many times, depending on the context, this is at least here now, this is an indicator as a continuation pattern, so a bullish pattern, that the price might head higher if we break this neckline that you have to imagine here. So you have the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. The next pair on my list is GBP JPY. So GBP JPY is also a long trade idea, and if we go to the weekly chart here, this is what I do not like. We have a really gigantic candlestick here, a red candlestick leaving a big wick to the downside, and there could be a wick up and then a wick fill, so then this might be a red wick, which is why I'm really careful with this trade, but I put it on a list because this is giving me the impression that this was a stop run, leaving some kind of morning star formation here. Now I want to see price test the area again, create a higher low for me, and then on a lower time frame I want to see the purple price action that indicates now a reversal of this small correction here, that then the price will head higher again. So GBP JPY, I'm a little more careful with this trade, but right now this looks like a nice pair to have on the list. Another important indicator is that we are still in an uptrend here. So the recent monthly candlesticks haven't looked really good, but maybe this month this was the wick down, now the liquidity grab, and now we will see a wick fill here on the monthly chart, maybe even testing the recent highs here, or the recent high on the monthly chart, meaning the high on July 1st in 2024. So that's the plan for GBP JPY. Now let's go to GBP NZD. And this was also a pair that I had on my list for last week. I've been waiting here for a correction down to this area after I closed my long position somewhere around here, and now I'm waiting for for a chance to hop on this uptrend again and profit off of a further push to the upside. So I waited for price to break the area and come back to this area here, sweep some liquidity, which it looks like it already did here on the 2.31 round psychological level and the area of interest. So now I'm waiting again for a small push down, retesting it in the beginning of the week, creating the wick down, and then hopefully a continuation to the upside, because as we can see, the recent weekly candlestick had closed very neutrally, indicating that, for me at least, indicating that there is a lot of more up potential and a lot of more buying pressure so that the price can create a new high here. The candle hasn't closed quite neutrally here, but if we go to the lower time frame, we can even see some kind of 4-hour Morningstar formation, which is a bullish signal here for me, but I want to see still another retest here, maybe another liquidity sweep, and then a clear shift of structure that this is a good chance to buy. But as long as price will stay really weakly above the round psychological level or just slightly below, I'm not interested in buying. But as soon as it crosses clearly here and it gives me a nice higher low, then I'm definitely much more interested in this trade opportunity. Now let's go to the last pair for this week, which is USD. And this has also been a pair featured in last week, as I am waiting still for price to come back into the area here, the round psychological level, and an area of interest to sweep some liquidity and then get a chance to open a short position to profit off of a further move to the downside. Now the monthly candlestick has closed, and even the weekly did not really engulf the weekly candlestick before, but it's a green candlestick, which is absolutely to be expected. Maybe there's only going to be a neutral weekly candlestick, or it will just break above this area again and then it will head higher. That's all that can happen. The monthly candlestick has closed red, and this might be the wick up of the next monthly candlestick now, and then maybe the coming one that's forming right now will be a red one. So my chance to open a short position here and profit off of a continuation to the downside on USD. But I'm still trying to be patient, wait for the liquidity sweep, maybe the 50 EMA rejection, a really nice and clear one, and then look on a lower time frame for the proper shift of structure and my entry signal to then open a short position. And that's already it for the list of this week. Now let's have a look at last week's pairs and see how they have performed. So right here we have Euro AUD, and my plan on Euro AUD was to wait for price to create a higher low here and then give me a chance to enter a long position to profit off of a continuation higher. But it never gave me my entry signal here. The price headed straight to the downside here. It continued lower and is still staying below the round psychological level here and the area of interest, which is why I never entered a long position here and avoided this loss. And now I'm just gonna keep an eye on this pair and see how it will perform in the future. Now we have USD CAD. And USD CAD, the plan was to wait for a correction down into this area of here, the round psychological level and the area of interest. But as you can see, it never really came back to this area, is still at the new area of interest here, and maybe it will have its proper correction in the coming weeks. But as of right now, this is not a pair I'm interested in anymore. And finally, we have USD JPY, which is a big loss that I have avoided because I was patiently waiting for price to come back down into the area and give a clear entry signal here, which it never did. It just continued to the downside to the area of interest here and the 147 round psychological level. I wanted to take the opportunity and get in on a long position here at the shift of structure around this round psychological level here, but as you can see, it never did, and so it did not give me my entry signal that I was looking for. And that's already it for this week. Of course, I've analyzed the other pairs too, but I did not find any great trade setups for the coming week. But I've set price alarms there, and if any of those alarms is getting triggered, I will have a look at the respective pair again and try to find a suitable new trade opportunity. If you want to get notified whenever that happens, or if you're interested in regular trade updates on my running trades and information on when I open a trade or close a trade, then you can just join my free Telegram channel. I will put the link to it into the video description. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below and I will try to answer your questions. Thank you for watching. I wish you a successful trading week. Remember to manage your risk properly and see you next Sunday.